During this time of limited travel, increased isolation, and stressful media, we want to make the most of this time right here at home.
Let us be your escape from life's monotony. Allow yourself to indulge in your wildest travel fantasies and discover the constant beauty of this ever-changing world with the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. On today's episode, we'll be diving into part 2 of our 2-part series on all things summer travel, from some of our favorite destinations to how to score the best deals and more.
Welcome to the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. We're your navigators, Allison
and Regan. And today we are going to be doing part 2 of our 2-part series on summer travel. And today we're going to be focusing more so on some more tips, some ways that you can travel even if you're just staying home, like doing a little staycation, but just really making the most of your summer. But before we do that, as per usual, we're going to go ahead with our icebreaker. So today, our icebreaker is, what is the best hike that you've ever been on?
Wow. I don't even know how I choose because all of Iceland was hiking. But since we always talk about Iceland, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. And I'm going to go with the Narrows in Zion. If you have not been to the Narrows, I highly recommend checking them out. It's a really great hike. First, it starts off like on a trail through like a wooded area, and then you pop out to this slot canyon type of scenario with water running through it. And there's some parts where you're walking through water and some parts where you're not. But I'm actually going back there this summer. If this bacteria in the water clears up, I do plan to hike the Narrows again. So highly recommend that. Plan accordingly with like closed-toed shoes if you do want to do that hike. But how about you, Regan? What has been your favorite hike that you've been on?
So my favorite hike that I've been on is actually in Colorado. It's outside of Denver or Winter Park, that area of the state. And it's called Squaw Mountain. It is an intense hike. You go up 11,000 feet or so. It's pretty intense. So I would recommend like packing crampons and trekking poles, things like that, the real hiker materials. But you get to the top and there's a fire tower up there that gets you just even a little bit higher, and it is a 360-degree view of, depending on the time of year you go, snow-covered mountains, and then you see like Denver in the distance. So it's really cool that you like see the flatlands and like the foothills of the Rockies, and then you see the beautiful, huge Rockies. So that's probably my favorite hike that I've ever been on.
That sounds amazing. Is it one of those hikes though, like if it's a cloudy day, you're not going to see anything and it'd be really frustrating to climb all the way up there?
Yeah, probably. It does get really, really high. So yeah, make sure you go on a nice day so that you're not disappointed.
So speaking of some of our trips, like I said, Regan and I have been on trips together or just with our families. So now we kind of want to touch upon our favorite places and places that we would maybe avoid during summertime. So Regan, what are your favorites?
So my favorite places that I've been on summer vacations, I love Yellowstone. The weather is just really nice, and that's kind of what I'm looking for in the summer. Is like, I don't want to go anywhere that's super hot, and well, I'm okay with heat. I love the heat, honestly, but if it's humid, no thank you. So Yellowstone is really great. Like I said, really great hiking. There's wildlife. It's just beautiful. San Francisco is really great, and there's a lot of fun things to do there. A road trip is always great because even if you do go somewhere hot, you can jump in that air-conditioned car or that hotel, Airbnb, wherever you are. Colorado is fantastic. I just love all of Colorado. And then Iceland, which you can go listen to those episodes if you're looking for more information, and Ireland are both really temperate in the summer, which is really, really great. Places that I'd recommend avoiding, like I said, I don't want to be anywhere humid. So like New Orleans, although there's a lot going on in the summer, I would personally avoid it because it's going to be like upwards of 100 degrees and like 100% humidity. Same with Florida, places in the Caribbean, not only for the humidity, but also it's like hurricane season. And then Arizona and New Mexico just get blazing, blazing hot in the summer to the point where you just like don't want to go outside past 8 a.m. And that's just not fun to me, to see the sun outside and not really be able to go outside. So that's what I would say. Ellie, what about you?
Yeah, so some of my favorites, believe it or not, there's more to New York than just New York City. I know it's a misconception when we say, hey, you're from New York. They're like, Oh, like New York City, like no, not New York City. But the Adirondacks is a really great place for anyone really across the world, but especially like people in New York. It's very accessible no matter where you live in the state. It's a great place to go camping, do some hiking, great place to escape for the summer months. There's boating, all kinds of fun stuff. And then Martha's Vineyard, which is out towards Boston. It's a really cute town to explore. They have really cute houses you can rent, some beaches. Then Alaska, if you're looking to cool down a bit, Alaska is perfect during the summer. Like 60s is probably about the average. There's tons of great tours. You can see lots of wildlife, and the weather is just fantastic. I'm not usually one to like want to go on a cold vacation, but in the summer, it's nice to just get that break from the heat and head towards Alaska. And if you're in Alaska, might as well go to Oregon too while you're out there. Just do a 2 in 1 there so you don't have to go too far, at least if you're from the East Coast. And then camping, like I mentioned before, is always a really great option in the summer. And then places I recommend avoiding anywhere tropical, like Regan said, it gets really hot. Hurricane season is a factor. Definitely don't want your vacation ruined by a hurricane. And then cruises. This is kind of a weird thought, but cruises are more expensive during the summer. You think during the winter when people want to get somewhere warm, they'd be more expensive, but actually that's not the case. The summer is much more expensive, super hot, and again, hurricanes. So try to avoid cruises. If you want more tips on cruises, definitely check out our part 1 and part 2 series on all things cruise to point you in the right direction for all things cruising.
But Ellie, I will say, I'm seeing a nice combination here for summertime. What about a cruise to Alaska?
Okay, now that's a
We
possibility.
could get on board with that, pun intended.
Yes. Sign me up.
Oh man. Well, yeah, so those are definitely some good places to maybe try out and maybe to avoid and go in the winter months. So, now that we've kind of pointed to the places, let's talk about the planning to get you there. So you really want to make sure that you have a plan in advance. Plan at least a month ahead, if not more, to make sure that you can book an accommodation. The closer you get to your travel dates, the more expensive flights as well as accommodations are going to be, as well as pretty much everything else that you have to reserve. A rental car, yeah, transportation to and from the airport, anything like that. So just make sure that you have a plan and that you're planning in advance.
Yeah, it's really nice to have a plan as far in advance as possible, save your money, figure out exactly what you want to do, especially like if you're going to some museums and such. You need to know if you need to book tickets far in advance, if they have opportunities for free days to go. So it's really good to make sure you're planning as far ahead as you can, especially if you need to take time off of work. That's always an important factor to include as well. But also sticking to a budget. Regan, what's your hot tip on budgeting?
So I don't know if it's the most efficient method, but something that I always like to do is create like a Google sheet or an Excel sheet or whatever the kids are using these days ahead of time with formulas broken down by day. I have my budget at the top and then I can see my running total so that when I input what I've spent on something, it automatically updates to let me know how much I have left to spend. And the goal is always to come out and the positive. Not you don't want to overspend, and also I don't want to just get to zero. It would be awesome if I still had even $100 left in my budget at the end of the trip. So definitely go in with a budget plan. But then if you're also looking to budget, some good resources would be hotels.com, Priceline, Expedia, I think is one. There's like a few different sites that you can bundle everything that you need to travel and they'll give you a discount. So there's like car rentals, like I said, and hotels, flights, etc. And there's also like deals. So for instance, say I'm going to Disney World for 7 days and I need a hotel. There are things called like express deals and things like that where it'll give you here are the three hotel options, but we're not going to tell you which one you're staying at until you pay. So, if you're okay with being a little more spontaneous, you can get a nicer hotel for a lower price. You just won't know which hotel it is right up front. That is also usually non refundable. So, you do have to kind of weigh your options. If there's an option, especially with car rental companies, to pay later, like to pay at the desk when you pick up, definitely do that because they can get real seedy and take your money really quickly.
Yeah, those are really great tips. And especially like when you're on vacation, you usually start to feel very spontaneous. Like, oh, yeah, it's okay. I'm on vacation. I'm going to spend like $100 on a dinner. But if you don't have that money to spend, it's important to have that Google Sheet to kind of keep you in check. Like, you, of course, want to enjoy yourself and not, have to hold back. But you do need to be mindful of that budget that you've set for yourself because it can add up very fast, which is kind of why, like, circling back to Airbnb being so great is you can cook meals there and that can save you a lot of money as well. So I think Google
Yeah.
Sheet is a really great tip that I actually am probably going to start doing myself because I haven't even thought of that before. So that's a great tip.
Yeah. Oh, and also if you book on Tuesdays, like I don't know why, for some reason, deals on Tuesdays are just better. Like if you book your travel on a Tuesday, it's usually cheaper. But then also if you book your travel to leave on a Tuesday, it's also cheaper. Not sure why. It's just this crazy phenomenon that's pretty cool. So there's that.
Yeah, and another weird thing is putting your like phone or iPad, tablet, whatever you're using in incognito mode because then your technology, whatever you're using, is tracking your search. So then it's going to start giving you higher prices. So if you go incognito, it doesn't know what you're searching. So it can
Oh,
avoid having higher prices that might pop up because they know that you're interested in booking that specific trip.
wow. I did not know this. Look at these little nuggets of joy that we're passing to each other. So, yeah, and we've talked extensively also about connecting with locals if possible. Learn a little bit of the language of wherever you're going. For more information on that, check out literally any of our episodes because we talk about it all the time. But yeah, get to know the people. So, but again, we're still in a weird time in our world, so travel isn't possible for everyone. So, how can you travel from home even if you can't plan a full vacation?
Podcast. It's where it's at. You're listening to one right now. So keep listening to us, the Wanderlusting Wives. Some other really great travel podcasts are Travel Podcast The World, Winging It Podcast, and 10K Dollar Day, just to name a few. Really great hosts that provide insightful information and cover a wide variety of locations. But if podcasts aren't your thing, which hopefully they are since you're listening to this, YouTube is another great resource. I am obsessed with YouTube. So a fun little idea would be maybe connecting with friends or just your family or yourself and setting up a drive-in movie theater. Maybe have some blankets and pillows and a nice big screen and just project it out there. Some channels that I really enjoy are Kara and Nate. They've been to 100 countries, and actually, as we're recording this episode, they just finished the Escape from Alcatraz challenge where they swim from Alcatraz to the mainland, and then the King in It on YouTube. They are currently working on something very crazy. So they're going to travel in what they call a wheelie bin, which is really just a plastic garbage can or recycling bin, whatever you want to call it. They're going to go the length of Wales to raise awareness for mental health, since this is Mental Health Month. And then Eamon and Beck are a great channel if you're looking for van life content or cabin life in Canada. The Bucket List family, they are a full-time traveling family with 3 kids who are currently living in Hawaii. And then Sailing the Vagabond, which is a very cool channel. They have 2 young kids and they are in a sailboat traveling the world. So lots of opportunities for you if you don't have access to travel. And Regan has some great options for Netflix and Disney Plus.
Yeah, so YouTube is free. So, yeah, definitely check those out. I'm going to go check some of those out right after this. But if you do have like Netflix or Disney Plus, you have options for a wide range of different shows that you can watch. Our Great National Parks is one on Netflix that just came out. It's narrated by Barack Obama. So, you know that we're all going to be lulled to sleep with that one, but it's going to be beautiful. I have not yet watched it. It is on my list. Can't wait to watch it. Earth Moods on Disney Plus, Welcome to Earth with Will Smith on Disney Plus. National Geographic is owned by Disney now, so like Disney Plus has all of the National Geographic stuff. There's so much on there. Even if you're just looking for like nature, like there, I think there's something called like What Do Birds Do or something. I can't remember which service it's on, but there's lots to check out. And then on Netflix, there's Our Planet and Moving Earth. Moving art is a great one. I love it. It's great. One that I would recommend avoiding is Down to Earth with Zac Efron. And you might be like, oh my gosh, Zac Efron. He's so cute. This is going to be great. And what I will say, because on this podcast, we are very, very cognizant of like respecting the locals of wherever we're going. Zac Efron does not do that. So, for instance, in his Iceland episode, he's like making fun of someone who doesn't know as much as he maybe thinks they should. And it's really disheartening to see someone who is held so highly in our American scope treat someone from a different country with a little less respect than they deserve. So, avoid that one. That's my little soapbox there for the moment. But those are some other great options other than that. But then also, you can just take a tour of your hometown. Discover some things that are right in your backyard that you maybe didn't know, some history or some restaurants, some historical houses or something. Maybe there's a ghost tour, but just pay attention to what's in your immediate area. Take a weekend trip, even to like the town over, the city over, or something. Just whatever resources you have available to you, take the opportunity to travel how it works best for you, because this world is maybe not going to be around forever and it's beautiful and we should take advantage of it while we can.
Yeah, I think you just said that so well. And especially like going into your hometown, supporting your local community is a really great way, especially now when the world is a little bit crazy. Just taking what you have in your backyard, supporting the people maybe that you know or you don't know is a really great way to travel. If you're just maybe getting used to traveling again or you're new to travel, take it easy. Go spend some time in a hotel in your hometown or just travel around for the day. It's just a great way to get your feet wet and do something different than what you might normally do.
So we hope that this helps as you are looking forward to these nice summer months of travel or maybe not traveling, but just making the most of this beautiful time that we have here on Earth in the nice weather. So, Ellie, you got anything else?
That's it. Just go out there, seek some adventure, and we hope that you find this podcast helpful. Reach out to us on our social media if you want some more inspiration, or just let us know that you went out there and went on that trip and took some of our advice. We'd be happy to see some of your pictures or hear some of your stories from the road.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. Come escape with us again every other Tuesday. Give us a subscribe and a follow on all of our social media and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And until we chat next time, wander on.